When talking about the cardiovascular system, we definitely need to talk about circulation, but there's different kinds of circulation. There's circulation through the main veins, and then there's this thing called microcirculation. So let's talk about microcirculation. Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Minke. This is Minke Wellness. And microcirculation refers to the blood flow through the capillary beds. So we've got to get that blood all the way down through those tiny, tiny little capillaries. The challenge is the capillaries are only one cell wide, one red blood cell wide. So it only passes one blood cell at a time through these capillary beds. And I forgot the number, but I mean, it's this, the amount, the miles of tubing in the body that the heart has to pump through the blood through is staggering. And it can't do it. Literally, the physics suggests that the heart muscle, the strength of the pumping, is not capable of pumping the blood through the capillaries. That microcirculation depends on something else. And that something else is electrostatic movement of charged particles. So what the blood has to have a charge on it, and it has to be different than the tissue around it in order to kind of funnel through and push through those blood cells through those tiny little capillaries. So it really depends not so much on the heart pumping. Of course, there's going to be pressure, little physical pressure behind all that, but the electrostatic movement, in other words, it depends on the quality of the blood and the quality of your minerals, okay? And that's going to be your calcium, your potassium, all your basic minerals that you know about, and as well as the protein content, all the content of the blood. So here's where you start talking about hydration. I know you're sick of me talking about hydration, but if your blood gets thick and things start gelling and congealing, that is not going to work for microcirculation. So first of all, before we go any more into that, what's the concern for microcirculation? Well, we can have really good blood flow in the veins and arteries, but we're not getting enough movement through those the capillary beds. So you have ischemia or low oxygen at the end point of the tissues, right? So we're not getting oxygen delivered, oxygen and water delivered to the tiny little capillary beds. And this is huge for organs. Well, it's huge for any cell, but I mean, it's really important for the brain and the lungs. The kidneys, those are the three ones where capillary circulation really has to flush through, and so it becomes a big health concern if we're not getting that microcirculation. One of the things that has been shown to help microcirculation is antioxidants. In other words, when the blood gets oxidized, you lose the charge, the appropriate amount of charge, the pH, the charge, however you want to think of it. Those are all going to be in the same kind of category. And oxidation it challenges or disrupts that ability for microcirculation. So we need those antioxidants. And as you know, the blood is an amazing. We've done a whole month on blood, so you can go back and look at those. But the blood is amazing because it's both fat and water-soluble and fat-soluble delivery mechanisms. So somehow, well, it's through obviously through chemistry, the blood has a mechanism for being both, having oil and water mix. In other words, the blood carries both the fat and the water, which means we need, in order to keep the blood healthy from an oxidative stress perspective, from an antioxidant perspective, we have to have both a water-soluble and fat-soluble antioxidant. I think you've heard me talk about this before. And the water-soluble antioxidants are primarily going to be coming from, your kind of vitamin C plant nutrients, your vitamin C, your fruits and vegetables, all have these wonderful water-soluble antioxidants. These are your plant, green phytonutrients, right? Then you have the fat-soluble antioxidants, which are your vitamin K, A, D, E, and K. And if you don't have enough, if you have too much oxidative stress in your fat system, then you're going to eat up all of your, use up all of your fat-soluble vitamins. Okay, so your A, D, E, and K is going to be compromised. Those levels are going to be compromised if you don't have enough or have too much oxidative stress in your fat tissue. And I don't mean to say fat tissue like adipose. I'm not talking about fat, the fat tissue in our body. I'm talking about the lipid-based system, chemistry system in our body. That's all the membranes of around the cells. Yes, it is fat tissue. I'm talking about adipose tissue, but also actually down to the membrane. And so important in the nervous system that all the nerve bundles or nerves are wrapped in myelin, and the myelin is basically a membrane wrapping. And so you've got fat on fat on fat. And so the lipid importance of lipid chemistry and maintaining healthy lipids is critical. So here we are again with our water-soluble and fat-soluble antioxidants that we need to have in our system. And there really is no better fat-soluble antioxidant than the essential oils. They're already lipids, but they don't behave like a greasy, oily lipid that requires emulsification. They go right into the system. They're very small, so they emulsify very easily through any amount of tiny little fat. All you got to do is give it a little bit of fat, and it's going. So the essential oils, and in our case, we're doing the basil and copaiba essential oils internally in our vitality line, copaiba and vitality basil, and taking that capsule can really, really help with the fat-soluble antioxidant. Now, I would, by extension, suggest that would help promote circulation. I don't have the data, to prove that, but that would, by extension, suggest that if we got a good quality fat-soluble antioxidant, that would be a great study to perform. Have someone, be taking these, check their microcirculation levels, have them take a capsule, and then check their microcirculation. That really wouldn't be that expensive of a study. But the problem is, why don't we see more studies on essential oils? I think it's all about money, folks. Who's going to pay for those studies? Right now, let's face it, the medical research is driven by the pharmaceutical industry and the government supporting the pharmaceutical industry and funneling money in that direction. And that's all, I don't know if you want to call it, I don't know what the term is, but the medical complex, the government medical complex, whatever. I don't want to be conspiratorial. It's just obvious. Any big entity is going to try to take care of themselves. They're going to use their influence in the government to fund money to send money toward them, and they're going to make the case. And I think successfully they're going to make the case that hey, we need some in the interest of public health, we need funding from the government that would help us promote some products or some healthcare system that's going to be good for public health. And that's easy to convince politicians of that. I'm not going to talk about conspiracy and misinformation, because there is a lot of misinformation in the medical system. I'm not here to do a diatribe on the medical system, but there's obviously a lot of problems with the medical system. My point is, though, that no one is championing natural medicine research, and so you're not going to see research the simple studies that show it's all going to have to be privately funded. And one of the things I wondered about for years is what if all of us essential oil enthusiasts got together and chipped in a few dollars a month and put together a budget for essential oil research? Because then again, as soon as you have money involved, someone's going to argue, oh, well, it should be spent this way, it should be spent that way, and no one's going to agree and whatnot. But it was just a thought I had a while ago, and say, what if we chipped in together and put together a research consortium and money toward research, and then have this group do the research or fund the research through universities. You don't even have to set up a lab. This is not what I'm saying. Is I'm not talking about setting up our own lab and all the rest, although we could do that. I'm talking about just getting already established research programs at universities and say, hey, look, we'll fund this little study. Like this little study I'm talking about right here with microcirculation and essential oils. It would be basically about, and I'm going to throw out a number, and it might be shocking to you, but it'd be about $100,000 to do a decent job at getting enough numbers and getting enough people and all the rest. You can get preliminary information for a lot less than that. But to do an actual publishable study on that, I would guess, I would just totally estimate that, this is just a ballpark, somewhere around, $100,000. That would be, because then you got enough money to do, and you say, well, oh my gosh, that's nothing. That's piddle. That's just, when you look at the cost of doing research and all the manpower that goes into it and all the infrastructure and all the rest of it, university has to get their part, et cetera, et cetera. So Anyway, I think I digressed from our topic of microcirculation, except I'm just talking about the lay of the land for research in natural medicine. So those of you who are like frustrated that we don't get to see this kind of medical grade, medical quality research that's helping to document the benefits of natural medicine, we're going to have to do it ourselves. We're not going to get funding from public funding sources, and I probably don't even want it. You know, when you got public money, you're going to have a lot of strings attached, and you'd be not able to, you have to all these review boards and all the rest of it, and justifying all this. You have to justify your existence every cycle. That's such a pain. Anyway, what I'm saying is if we had 100,000 Young Living distributors who wanted to chip in $10 a month, that's $1 million a month, right? That's $1 million a month. Wow, what could you do with $1 million a month? Anyway, just a thought. Okay, so back to microcirculation. We're doing our basil and copaiba vitality essential oils. One of the things that I'm hoping to accomplish with that is to improve this microcirculation, keep the fat-soluble antioxidant levels in the bloodstream, and then you still have to do all the other stuff that's the mineral balance, keeping your kidneys healthy, keeping your mineral content. So all the stuff we've done up to now, talking about the elimination system, the blood and lymph, the elimination system, digestive system, the musculoskeletal system, all of that has come up and built up to this point where we're building up to this, helping the cardiovascular system. So I stack all these. I did deliberately put together the order of these this wellness course. So if you're jumping in at cardiovascular because you think you have a concern or a diagnosis or some kind of problem in your cardiovascular system, and you think you can jump in here and get all the results that you're hoping for just from this program, I highly encourage you to go back and do the entire wellness program from the beginning because it does stack. Okay, so that's just the way I had designed this, and I encourage you to do that. All right, so happy wellness, one day at a time. We keep making decisions for our wellness, whether we are aware of it or not, whether we're conscious of it or not. And this is our conscious choice to make one step better, one step upward direction to better wellness. So happy wellness, one day at a time.